sure to visit my website, www.saracarter.com. That's saracarter.com for my latest reporting and stories. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to my email list. That's the email list, guys, because this is so important. That way we can stay in touch. Today we're doing our Thanksgiving Day special. So happy Thanksgiving Day to all of you, to all your families. May God bless you. May you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Don't think about anything but just all of the wonderful things that make life so special, and especially living in this great nation of ours. Such a beautiful, wonderful blessing to be here. I mean, and when you travel the world, you know how real that is. I'm going to share a few fun stories today, though. And we thought it would be fun to respond to you because we get so many messages on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I love all the messages that I get. And Cal and Greg, our producers here at the show, happy Thanksgiving to them as well. They're amazing. They went through some of the comments and they collected those comments so that I could read them and then respond to you directly. So thank you so much again for actually taking the time to write me, to send messages. I do go through them often. And some of them are, wow, crazy out there. You guys are awesome. You're just outside of the box on some of these things. And some of them are just so heartwarming and wonderful. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to return that favor and respond back. We also have these incredible stories too. You do not want to miss this. We're going to be talking about this fentanyl kingpin that was just recently taken into custody in LA. So crazy. Listen to this, guys. He had an assistant, a fentanyl assistant. So not only was he like killing people and, poisoning them, of course he wasn't paying taxes, but he had a fentanyl assistant. We're going to find out what that is. And you do not want to stop this podcast mid-podcast. Why? Because I am going to tell you about a real FBI and Department of Defense raid on a man in Las Vegas, Nevada, who is basically collecting information on UFOs. They went to his home. He has a website. I'm not going to tell you who it is until later. Has a website. It's collecting information, dealing, with a public audience. This is all public knowledge. Apparently, he said he only had open source information, and the FBI came to his home. They raided his home with the Department of Defense, right, out of Nellis Air Force Base, and they took everything. You do not want to miss this show. Hey, everybody, please follow and subscribe. Get all the links at saracarter.com. That is saracarter.com. And while you're there, sign up for that email list so that you do not get shadow banned. We do not want you to be shadow. I don't want Mike Lindell to be shadow banned, right? So Mike Lindell's on my email list. I send him an email, keep him posted. And why do I care about Mike Lindell? Because Mike Lindell has an American company that cares about American products, just like I do. I believe in our nation. I believe in this country, and it is mypillow.com. And right now you can get a 6-piece towel set. Yes, a 6-piece towel set. Beautiful bath towels. They are so soft. Everybody in my house loves them. They're originally $89.98 for the 6-piece towel set, now $39.98. You cannot beat that before Christmas, guys. You cannot beat that. Not only that, you get a 60-day money-back guarantee, and it is extended. It is extended. So if you buy them, listen to this, by Christmas, you will have an extended, basically guaranteed, you can return it, money-back guarantee on these towels until March 1st, 2023. Why not? Just get them. Get them. We all need new towels. We all have those towels in our closet with big holes in them. Throw those away. Throw those away right now, $39.98. For a limited time, get the MyPillow 6-piece towel set, regularly $89.98, for now $39.98 at mypillow.com/Carter. You have to use the promo code Carter, CARTER. There you'll find deep discounts on all MyPillow products, and you will get your 6-piece MyPillow towel set for only $39.98. Shop mypillow.com/Carter, promo code Carter, CARTER. That's mypillow.com/Carter. So let's start with the first story. This is so exciting. I'm like scrolling through it. I've already read this story, but this is just totally crazy insane. You know how I've talked about the border? And by the way, I want you to go to the Dark Wars podcast because we have our second episode there. It is on China, and it deals with China encroaching in our territory in the Western Hemisphere. And you are going to be it's jaw-dropping information from some of the top leaders and experts in the field. And like I said, on my Dark Wars podcast, I take you on that journey with me. And right now, this story right here is about a fentanyl kingpin in Los Angeles. And I want you to listen to this because this is just, first of all, so scary when you think about all the people that have been poisoned with fentanyl. And then you read this story, and not only is it crazy and scary, but it's just weirdly insane. And in some moments, I just had to laugh out loud because I couldn't believe this is even real. Even if I wrote this as a movie, you'd just be like, oh, Sarah, that can't be true. So let's listen to it. A federal task force has brought down the largest fentanyl drug lab in history by, guess what, using undercover agents who ferreted out the operators selling on the dark web from his home in Los Angeles. This guy on the dark web, his name was Christopher Hampton. He's 36 years old. It was a multi-agency operation by the DEA, the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office. Actually doing something other than Trump is really awesome, isn't it? You can actually get some bad guys. How they worked to bring down the dark web kingpin, Christopher Hampton, who created his own manufacturing and distribution business, selling more than 1 million fentanyl and methamphetamine pills. Our country is just going to hell in a handbasket with these people. Really, it is. Hampton was indicted on Friday on 11 counts of manufacturing and distribution and 1 illegal weapons count that could result in life in prison if he is convicted. The Joint Criminal Opioid and Dark Net Enforcement Team. How cool is that? Who'd want? Wouldn't you want to tell your family that you worked for that? They're like, what are you doing now? Oh, I'm working at the Dark Net Enforcement Team. That just sounds so freaking cool. For short, J-Code. J-Code. That's where they work. J-Code has arrested more than 300 drug traffickers. They don't want to see J-Code show up at their house. I wonder what they look like. They come in, like, is it dark suits, dark jumpsuits, sunglasses, hats? They're like the J-Code team, right? They almost sound like superheroes because they really are. And they seized, listen to this. Listen to this. They've arrested more than 300 drug traffickers and seized $42 million and 800 kilograms of narcotics, along with 145 firearms. And just think, they're probably just touching the tip of the iceberg. And what about all of that coming from Mexico? That's another issue, right? We're seeing all of the drugs that are coming from Mexico. I want to show you this. He created an online store, this guy, on the dark web, right? It's on Tor, a dark web server. Oh yeah, Tor. Yeah, the dark web server. According to the indictment, he created this online store and called it Narco 710. Narco 7, he even just advertised it like that, Narco 710, and began purchasing equipment such as a pill press that could produce 5,000 pills per hour. I actually did that. I actually did not produce 5,000 pills per hour. But when I was in the Houston crime lab, I actually got a chance to test those pills and make those, pills in the pill press. So it was so easy to make. It was stunning to me and terrifying to think that so many people have lost their lives because they are being poisoned by what I believe is a weapon of mass destruction, During this February 2022 raid, Hampton made more than $1 million in drug sales. Oh, during February 2022, this year, he made more than $1 million in drug sales. An assistant, this is the fentanyl assistant, was hired at $5,000 a month to handle the volume of the sales. You guys, I went all the way to Mexico City for CPAC. I don't have an assistant right now. I did have Jenny for a while. She was working with me, but we were both working stories. She wasn't just an assistant. She's now at the Daily Caller. So Jenny Terr, read her stories there. But I don't have an assistant. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. You need an assistant because of the amount of fentanyl that you're producing. This guy was just, really, literally, he should be charged with murder. It's just crazy. It just makes me It's mind-blowing to me that this is going on. He was arrested on November 2nd when task force investigators served search warrants and found 450 pounds of suspected narcotics, 6 pill press machines, and illegal firearms that included assault rifles and a suspected machine gun. Agents also recovered more than 20,000 multicolored pills. These are the ones that I'm terrified of because I believe they're, targeting children, and children will die. And they have, from taking parents' pills and grabbing things that they shouldn't. These pills, these multicolored pills, actually contain fentanyl. They are known as Skittles on the street, manufactured to resemble oxycodone pills. This is the largest drug seizure we've had since 2018 when the task force was initiated, said FBI Special Agent in Charge, Brian Gilhooly. I just want to say thank you, Brian, and everybody else for taking this off the streets. This is a huge, successful story. People's lives will be saved, and it's just terrifying. This is what I talk about all the time on the podcast, right? Think about this. Your children are in school. You're not with them all the time. These pills are out there. What about college students? Adderall, oxycodone, Percocet. We've talked to families. I had Virginia Krieger on the show. She lost her beautiful daughter, Tiffany, when she took a Percocet after hurting her back from a friend. Her friend had no idea that the Percocet that she had in her medicine cabinet was not the real Percocet. It looked just like it. And what it was it was manufactured probably at some crime, drug lab in Mexico, ended up on the streets. Of course, people need to think now when they borrow a pill from a friend or you take a pill from even a family member, you're playing Russian roulette, right? You're playing Russian roulette. Folks, I just want to say thank you to the FBI. I know we're hard sometimes here on the show with the FBI because of the weaponization of some of the leadership in Washington, D.C., but there are so many great FBI agents out there and DEA agents and everybody else who's doing the work to try to keep our nation safe. Thank you for getting these pills off the street. We are grateful for you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for everything that you do, law enforcement. We send our prayers to you. And from the bottom of my heart, really from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful for everything that you've done. Before we move on to our responses, and these are you telling me what you think about the show, what you think about our guests and giving us ideas. Before I get there, I want to tell you a little bit about AMAC. You know how much I care about this organization. AMAC is the Association of Mature American Citizens. It is also the fastest growing conservative 50+ organization in America. Think about this. In just a few years, over 2 million people have joined. Yay. Thank you so much for being a part of that, guys. And now carry an AMAC membership card. By joining AMAC, you're actually taking the very first steps to saving the America that you love. AMAC offers an alternative to just about every benefit that other group offers. But guess what? No liberal agenda. No liberal agenda whatsoever. They will go to Washington, D.C., and they will fight for you in Washington, D.C. They will fight for conservative values. And that's what's important here. I stand with AMAC, and I hope that you will too. I encourage you to join today at amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. The benefits of membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. Here we go. Drum roll, please. I'm responding to the comments from our fans, So excited that you are really responding and writing, and because that way I just feel like I'm in touch with you. I feel like I know you, and it gives me ideas for different shows. Right now, we have this great comment from an interview I actually did with Virginia Krieger. This is the one I was just talking about. Her beautiful daughter, Tiffany, died of fentanyl poisoning. She was young with children, and it was devastating. She had hurt her back, borrowed a Percocet from a friend, waiting to go to her doctor's appointment, and was killed by that, what she thought was Percocet. It was not. It was a fentanyl tablet. And this is from Kenyon Gray, 2615 on YouTube. Hey, Sarah, isn't that interesting that when the vast majority of people think of WMDs, that's weapons of mass destruction, We always think of rockets, bombs, and other large deadly weapons. But a WMD can indeed be as small as a grain of fentanyl. Thanks for your interview with Mrs. Krieger. May God bless her and her family, and also you and your family, Sarah. Well, may God bless you too. May God bless you too, Kenyon Gray. And you're absolutely right. That's why I say all the time that we have to pay attention to this. You are the only thing that can protect your family right now, because right now our border is wide open. Our government is not protecting us. The Biden administration is not protecting us from the enormous amounts of contraband, narcotics, and human trafficking that is coming into this country. Right now, we are at the mercy of ourselves, right? And at the mercy of God, because we don't know what's on our streets. And just as I told you in the very first monologue, look at what was going on there. Now, imagine if your young child saw these little colorful pills. Accidentally, some kid grabs them from their parent at home who's selling them on the streets or distributing them, or who has purchased them for themselves, takes them to school, thinks they're candy. God help us. God help us. We have to be there to protect our children. This is the reason why Virginia Krieger and Kenyon, I hope that is your name, at Kenyon Gray, 2615. You're absolutely right. The Chinese government, they are our adversary. They are more than happy to supply the Mexican drug cartels and whoever else with all the precursor chemicals needed to make these poison pills. And this is irregular warfare against our nation. I truly believe that. And this is poisoning our country and poisoning our kids. And may God bless all of you that does not happen, and that we keep our eyes wide open and keep focused on what we need to do, and that is protecting our families. Here on Twitter, we have a comment from @Josh E.B. David, @Josh E.B. David on Twitter. And he says, I've been receiving mail-in ballots for the previous tenant for 7 years that I could have filled out and sent in or drop boxed. Wow. No surprise there. People are complaining about this. I know this. It's happened to me as well. I'm sure they would have been counted in the voting. Mail-in and drop box ballots must end, and voter ID required to save democracy. Yes, you are absolutely right. @Josh E.B. David, you are absolutely right. I 100% believe that. And I'm going to tell you this. The hard part is going to be the states, right? Because we leave the voting laws up to the states. So we've seen what's happened in Arizona. We've seen what's happened in Pennsylvania. We see what's happened in Georgia. We're seeing what's happening across the country in various different states. So what we need to start doing is paying attention to who we're putting in the state legislature. I mean, I know we don't think about this. We think of the big scale, right? We're thinking of like, who are we going to elect as president? Who's going to serve in Congress? Who's going to serve in the Senate? We need to start thinking about who is going to serve in our state legislatures, because they set the rules. They set the rules too. And beyond that, and I'm so angry. I'm actually very upset with the RNC right now, and with the way they handled some of these elections, right? That was, and especially the midterms, because I believe we can't just wait for election day. And I've been saying this for a while, since 2020. I mean, if Stacey Abrams can run a harvesting operation out in Georgia or whatever, let's get everybody's mail in, let's do it, let's mail in ballots, and that's what's happening in those states, then we just can't, as Republicans, throw our hands up in the air and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm going to wait for that. I'm just going to get my voter base to come on the day of the election. No, no, no. We need to get out there. We need all of our organizations unified with a goal in mind of getting the most voters out even before election day. Because the only way we're going to make a difference is if not only if we work to put the right people in our local offices in position of power, right, where they can take care of the voter laws and regulations, where we can actually do things the legal way. And it has to be legal all the way through. But we also realize that we can't just play this old-fashioned game. It's not going to work anymore. There's a whole new system that is being put in place by very dangerous people in this very leftist Democratic Party. And we need to start doing our job to get the votes there that we need so that we can take back this country and give the foundation and the principles what it needs to survive. That is what we have to do. And I absolutely do believe that if we just sign those things over, they would take them. Oh yeah, I absolutely believe that. Because how will they even know the difference? There are places where there are still people that have been dead for years on the rosters. This is just crazy. We're like supposed to be one of the advanced nations on earth. The French can count their votes in one day. For an election, for a presidential election in one day. Kenya, same thing. Same thing. Why did Maricopa County take so long? Oh, just so frustrating. Thank you for your comments. Josh, I really appreciate it. That's at Josh E.B. David. Thank you so much for your comments. Oh, here's one on Facebook from David Wheeler. David Wheeler. He said, and it's right. If you don't know what's going on at the border, it's because you don't want to know. And that's pretty sad. And he's totally correct on that. People cannot act like they don't know anything anymore. The border is no longer just the border. The border is everywhere. It's in every state. We see it with the poisoning. We see it with what is happening in our country, right? We see it with the overwhelming number of migrants coming across. 2.7 million in the last fiscal year, over 1 million known gotaways. We just had Sarah Adams on the show, former CEO. You got to listen to it. If you have not listened to that, you must listen to it. So grateful for her service. So grateful for her service. Because she was a targeter for the CIA that went after terrorists. And right now, she has written a book, co-authored a book where she's telling you, like, hey, look, all of those people in Benghazi that were involved in killing U.S. Ambassador Christopher Stevens, remember that, folks? Remember that? 2012 in Libya? Those people are not on any terror watch list. They're not even on the watch list. They could just come into the United States and plan another terrorist attack. So that is pretty sad when we don't pay attention. And when we don't hold our lawmakers accountable for this, or our Federal Bureau of Investigation, or anybody, when we don't hold them accountable, guess what happens? Guess what happens? An attack happens in our country, and then everybody's crying and everybody's wondering what went wrong. Well, who is going to pay the price for this? The federal government is supposed to be protecting us. The only job that President Biden really has to do is to ensure the national security of our nation and protect our people. That is the role of the executive branch. They are failing miserably at it. Fire them. Fire them. They are not doing their job. Thank you so much, David Wheeler. And everybody out there that's listening to this, just take the time. Go to SarahACarter.com. You can go to SarahACarter.com, see all the stories that we're doing on the border. You could go to Dark Wars Pod. I would suggest doing that. Go to my Dark Wars Pod, DarkWarspod.com. Or wherever you listen to podcasts, just put in Sara Carter, Dark Wars, The Border, and you should be able to get it. You go there, listen to those stories, listen to the experts, listen to what we've seen. I promise you, you will not regret spending your time doing that, because it will prepare you for really what I believe is what's to come. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, best story of the day is this story, because it's not a political story, but it's one that is just stunning to me. We know the long arm, right, of law enforcement, long arm of the FBI, the Department of Defense. We have had Lou Elizondo on our show, and Lou Elizondo was the head of the ATIP program at the Pentagon in the search for, I would say, extraterrestrial life or unidentified aerial vehicles, right? Those things that we see in the sky. Remember the USS Nimitz, the sightings of what they call the TikTok sightings. The Department of Defense admitted that they have a special program for the phenomena of, I guess, for easier words, easier terminology, UFOs, unidentified flying objects that our military personnel have seen. And I'm not going to joke around about this one, because guess what? It's really there. There is something there. We don't understand what it is. We don't know what these things are. They can move 700 to 800 to 900 Gs. The human body can only withstand up to 8 or 9 Gs. Think about that. And we have them documented. Now we can see them with our technology, with our radar. So this is a fascinating story. FBI Air Force raid home of a man who operates Area 51 website. So he operates this website. It's an awesome website, by the way. And I'm going to probably pronounce his name wrong, but this Nevada man who operates a website focused on Area 51 said his home was raided by the FBI and the United States Air Force recently. And it was verified actually by the Associated Press. I think his name is Joerg Arnu. I want to say Ragnarok because it's spelled like Joerg. I'm guessing it's like a Norwegian name. Or Joerg Arnu, told the Associated Press that federal investigators raided his home in Las Vegas and the town of Rachel on November 3rd during what he claimed was an attempt to muzzle him. Absolutely. Something has changed. Remember, we had Lou Elizondo on, and we're going to bring him back on. And there was this whole movement towards this disclosure of what is going to happen. And I've been talking to people, sources and different folks, listening to what's going on. And I believe something is going to happen in the next year. I've been hearing that there is going to be something revealed or something closer to the summer. So we got to keep our ears open, our eyes open on that. As far as like some type of information or disclosure that they're going to make public. But in this case, the FBI and the United States Air Force were involved together in raiding his home. And this is in Las Vegas in the town of Rachel on November 3rd. He said this: "I believe the search, executed with completely unnecessary force by overzealous government agents, was meant as a message to silence the Area 51 research community." Now, remember, Area 51 is also an area where, this is a highly classified base where we're testing all kinds of new planes and, spy satellites and God only knows what else. We don't know. We don't know because we don't have access. We don't have the TS clearance to go in there and figure out. In fact, it's so compartmentalized that people who work in Area 51 literally can't know what the other group is doing, even on their own same job site. They have these really interesting things. They call them Janus flights. So contractors that go in there to work fly on these unmarked planes into Area 51. They're called Janus flights. They go in there. Apparently, they're all grouped by color. So you would be like orange group or green group, and you couldn't talk to people in the other groups. That's how they try to keep these things so classified, right? So maybe they stumbled on something. Maybe the Area 51 website stumbled on something or said something that was too close to some kind of maybe advanced research that they're doing there. I don't know. We don't know, but we do know right here. Arnu said that the searches happened without any warning. So they came in without any warning, both on his Dreamland Resort website and in a statement shared to the AP. So here, Lieutenant Colonel Brian McGarry, he is the public affairs chief at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, confirmed to the AP that he was aware of the search at Arnu's properties by both the FBI and Air Force Office of Special Investigations agents. Did you ever think that the United States Air Force Office of Special Investigations agents could just come into a civilian's home? Apparently they can, and they did, but said he couldn't provide any additional information. And we're the ones that are supposed to be laughing about Roswell, like, oh, it really was. Remember Roswell, the whole Roswell crash? Like they wanted us to believe it was like, just weather balloons after they had come out and said that there was something that crashed there. See, this is the reason why we can't just jump on board and make fun of people who are saying like, hey, I saw something, I'm serious. And we can't allow the government to play this, misinformation, disinformation stuff. We really need to investigate everything, guys. We don't know everything. We really don't. Thanksgiving is a day now we're giving thanks for everything. And gosh, please, while you're there, pray for our nation. Pray for our nation. Pray that we open our hearts and our minds. Look at what happened during COVID, right? You know how many, if you would have told someone like 10 years ago, 10 years from now, there's going to be a virus, but it's really not going to be like this thing that you see in movies. It's just the government's going to scare the shit out of you. And then they're going to basically lock down our country and lock down small businesses. And they're not going to let people work. And neighbors are going to be afraid of neighbors. We're all going to be wearing face masks. You'd be like, dude, are you like watching sci-fi movies? Have you lost your mind? Right? And now we know it's already happened. Let's keep our ears, our eyes, our minds open. Let's see what's going on around us. Let's listen to one another. Let's realize that we live in the most free society on earth, but only if we protect it. Only if we protect it. Look at what the FBI just did to this man's home and the Air Force Base. Now, there may have been a reason. There may be something that he stumbled on. But we know now that the things we used to laugh about, those conspiracy theories, some of those, just like Bill Maher said on a recent interview, some of those have actually come true. That's the weird thing, right? That's the weird thing. Anyways, I want to say thank you for all of you. I want to say thank you for everything that you have done to make the Sara Carter Show and the Dark Wars podcast a success. Thank you for fighting for this nation. I'm standing alongside you every single day. My family is, my husband is. I'm grateful for every one of you out there, grateful for our nation, grateful for all of the courage that we have shown as a country to move forward and to stand against tyranny and to stand up for one another. We have to keep doing that. We have to have the faith. I have a deep faith in God. And I do pray every single day. That is something that I do. And I pray for all of us. And I truly believe that we will save our nation. But it's going to require every single one of us to do the job and to love one another and to stay connected. And that's what I want you to do. So please follow me on Twitter at Sara Carter DC and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our great nation. And God bless the most beautiful state of Texas. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy your families. I know you will. See you on the flip side.